All right, welcome back, everybody. Nexa is where we're broadcasting from, and I think one of the highlights of this trip has been the interviews that we had in the nuclear reactor itself. Now, not many broadcasters have had the opportunity to actually go into this nuclear reactor. Now, when you go in there, let me just give you a little bit of a background in terms of the safety. I think it'll give you a background check into the next interview that I'm about to conduct. You basically have to be, you're not allowed to take anything in there, no cell phones, nothing like that. That's why I haven't had the opportunity to put a beautiful picture on Twitter or anything like that, because I don't have any. So that was something that we were not allowed to take in. Of course, you have to put on one of those coats that you saw us conducting the interview in. Then we had to cover our shoes and ensure that we didn't touch really many things, and you didn't put the microphone down on the floor. And I, of course, put the microphone down on the floor. As soon as I did that, there was a lady that came running and tested to see that it hadn't been affected or infected in any way. She tested it to see that the levels of radiation were fine. We then conducted the interview. But then when we left the room, that was quite interesting. As soon as we left the room where the nuclear reactor was, we went into a special booth where we had to actually be scanned ourselves to see that nothing was on us, that we were not carrying any radiation levels on us, no matter what you were carrying. Even the piece of paper had to be tested. So it is that enforced, and it's a very, very strict procedure, I must say. So I felt very comforted after leaving that I was still normal and that nothing was going to happen to me after I left. Well, somebody who does this all the time and who's quite used to it is Dr. Bismark, Tyobeka, who is the CEO of the National Nuclear Regulator. So were you happy with what I went through when I went into there? So did it sound like the procedure was done well?
Exactly. Thank you very much, Leon. I think that's what exactly an operator such as Nexa should do, to ensure that as you get in there, you get there in a state that they will know that you don't come in contaminated. And when you leave, they have to make sure that, because you're going to interact with the members of the public and your family members, they have to make sure that you are not contaminated with radiation. So I think that was good, what they did to you.
Indeed. And I even see, which is important, is that each one of the staff, that's something I know during the interview we may or may not have shown it, I'm not too sure, they actually wear a device on them that constantly monitors the radiation levels that they're being subjected to. So it'll be on them, and that I imagine is compulsory.
That's correct, yes, because there are certain limits that we set as the regulator for workers who are in the nuclear facilities and for members of the public also. So those things that you've seen called dosimeters are those that will be checking the dose of, the level of exposure of this person whilst working in a nuclear facility. And at the end of the day, they have to check, they have to measure that dosimeter to read it to make sure that the dose received is below the maximum limits that can be allowed for a radiation worker.
All right. Okay, so that's the staff here, but there's a much bigger issue at play here, because you actually monitor the entire unit. Now, it's not only Safari 1, it's Kuburg, Safari 1, and every single one of the mines here in South Africa that fall under your domain, to ensure that they follow procedures and regulations. But when it comes to nuclear, I can imagine there is a list as I don't even want to know how many pages it is, by rules and procedures that they have to abide by. Has this facility ever been shut down because it has not abided by rules?
We've had certain instances where, for example, the radioanalytical labs here were temporarily were forced to halt operations because of some violations of their contract conditions of license. The Safari itself has also had a number of glitches in terms of some minor incidents that forced us to actually halt operations, but nothing major actually. As your previous a guest said here, the reactor operated for 50 years without any major accident, and we think that is a very, very good safety record, and we have to commend them for that.
Over the 50 years. All right. Well, unfortunately, we do have to leave it here for now. I'm hearing news that we're going to be going back to the Johannesburg studio for a news item that we need to get out to our viewers here. But thank you so much for talking to us, just giving us a bit of background on the safety here for us. Dr. Bismark Tyobeka, who is the CEO of the National Nuclear Regulator. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to our SABC 2 viewers from here at Nexa. Thank you so very much for watching. There is more coming your way on Channel 4.